The guy named Finn wondered where the place was. He was in horror when he looked at his body being only bones. He was once a young man with a promising future, but he transmigrated, without having anything but a broken body. A sound suddenly caught his attention. It was an undead creature surging towards him. But it instantly broke its bone and fell half of its body on the ground. It continued crawling towards him anyway. Finn grabbed an unknown bone to use as a weapon. He noticed its brain peeking, thinking that it was its weak point. He smashed its brain using the bone and a notification panel showed up. It suddenly welcomed him, which made him react in surprise. It announced him being a weak undead with accumulated 1 point. He was even more confused upon seeing all those. The system ordered him to kill more skeletons to level up, causing him to make a terrified face. He bit his lower lip, asking if he really needed to go to the east side. He suddenly became immobilized because of the skeleton below. He sulked within himself and asked the skeletons of their motive. The skeletons surged towards him and buried him with their bodies. Someone suddenly called him to answer the question, which made him wake up. He looked at himself, being happy that he did not transmigrate. His teacher named Rin scolded him for sleeping when the graduation exam was around the corner. She then asked him when the world changed, to which Finn revealed that it was after the humans had experienced a great disaster. He recalled that monsters have descended with their territories, but the humans found out that there was spiritual energy that could strengthen humans. Rin commended him for his answer and asked why he was sleeping in the class. He reasoned out that he researched too much and nearly faint, causing Rin to ask his friend named Mori to take him to the infirmary. Inside the infirmary, the nurse told him that she will examine his body. Mori told her that Finn was sleeping in class and wouldn't wake up, which she mocked for being serious. She was startled when she found out that his bloodline increased by 10 because it wasn't normal. She suspected that he drank spirit liquid, but Finn does not have any idea. The graduation exam decides what they could be in the future. Having bad grades would bring disaster to one's life. Mori asked Finn to rest because his situation was kind of bad, but he insisted on studying. 5 hours later, he seemed so tired of reading. He decided to take a nap and study again later. When he opened his eyes, he was back in the future. A skeleton once again appeared before him. He was curious if he had to repeat the same thing again, while the system ordered him to kill the other skeletons too. He smashed the skeleton's brain because he wanted to do it again, but his stats did not change after killing it. He wondered if it was useless now, so he decided to kill the other to find out. A bunch of skeletons chased after him, but he ran away because he was outnumbered. After a while, he found a skeleton that was sitting alone. He smirked because the situation was in favor of him, because one skeleton is much easier to fight with. He decided to sneak behind its back, but he stepped on a bone which made a sound. His eyes widened as he thought that the skeleton heard him. He waved the stick in his hand, but the skeleton did not move. He concluded that it was deaf and blind, making his assassination easier. But the skeleton lifted its head and lunged an attack towards him. The skeleton's head flew away because he instantly retaliated and used his stick. He sat down and thought that despite not having sight and hearing, it can sense presence. He then made it to his 31st skeleton for the day. He noticed that his finger was growing flesh. He figured out that he could be a human after killing skeletons. He checked his stats and noticed that he reached stage 2 and became normal. He was delighted because weak feelings no longer existed. He noticed that the grave does not have a skeleton. He then arrived in front of the Star City shelter, noticing that its name is the same as his city. He went inside and figured out that it was an underground shelter. Finn found a huge device in the middle. He noticed a large key that says activate. He pressed the key, and the big screen lit up. The Star City data began loading, prompting him to notice the year. He transmigrated a millennium years later to the future. He decided to check the data of himself, which made him find out that he died in the year 2032. His soul left his body, realizing that he only had 9 years left. Seeing the ruins of the world, Finn worries about the future of his city. He frantically pressed the keys because he couldn't accept it. The screen showed that all the survivors will die and the end. Finn was thinking of changing the current timeline for the future. He smirked because of the thought that he was the chosen one. He decided to check the cultivation technique in the future. He was shocked to see that it was restricted and had limits. He gritted his teeth in annoyance, because there's still restrictions. Despite having a lot of cultivation techniques, he could only check one. Something then caught his attention. It was a technique of 270-second stretches. Finn instantly clicked to pick it. The screen suddenly showed 3 people who were exercising to follow. Finn decided to copy what they were doing. Light blue energy suddenly surged through his body. He raised his fist because it increases his spiritual energy and speed. The panel suddenly gave him a danger warning. Finn turned his head and saw red lights midair. A silhouette of a territory monster suddenly appeared before him. He then asked the system how to defeat the monster. The system instructed him to not run and stare directly in its eyes, for him to die with dignity still. The monster swiftly surged towards him, But Finn did not waver and held his ground because he was the chosen one. Despite that, he wasn't able to do anything and died from the monster's bite. He suddenly woke up, unscratched to the present. He noticed that when he was dreaming, the current time also stopped. Finn rejoiced because he was full of energy and his bloodline increased. He decided to go out and test the stretches technique he acquired. He was surprised because it takes 10 minutes to acquire energy from stretching, but it only took a minute in the future. He was in disbelief because the spiritual energy was running away as he couldn't cultivate it. Someone suddenly called Finn, which startled him. It was Rin, telling him to prioritize the exam. Finn thought that he could ask her for help because she has the tiger's soul. He dreamed of being recruited by a high-rank research institute if managed to change it. Rin noticed that he got more hype after she scolded him, but she also noticed his moves were different from the current stretch. She then followed what Finn was doing. She witnessed that the spiritual energy was floating around her. Finn smirked because it seems like it was his plan for her to discover and spread the technique. Rin asked Finn to follow her for a talk, but he found it inappropriate, which angered her and caused her to drag him with her. At the rooftop, Rin asked where he learned the changed version of stretch. Finn thought of a playful idea to tell that he was an MC who's hiding his power, but he brushed it off by saying that it was something he explored while researching. Rin was surprised because it was a cultivation technique which the higher-ups can't do. She stared at him, thinking that he was a genius. She instantly asked him for a request agreement, but Finn also asked him to let the version be studied under Tiger Soul and spread it all around the world. Rin praised him for being a good student. The night was wrapped, and he decided to get a good sleep. He once again arrived in the future. He remembered that killing the skeletons again was useless. He grabbed a bone and decided to head at the east side, killing the undead throughout his way to obtain spiritual energy. He spotted a bunch of undead from a distance, which made him excited because he will gain X. But the ground instantly crumbles, revealing a massive green tail. It instantly grabbed his waist and revealed its huge mouth. Its mouth suddenly went closer, ready to swallow him. His eyes grew larger as he frantically tried to kill the worm using the bone. He was stressed because he couldn't get through the skin. He tried to slash its body and found out that it was effective. He repeated his attack again and again until the worm decided to let go of him in pain. He was surrounded by a light and his stamina suddenly recovered while his body turned normal. He recalled the system panel and found out that he gained one more title. He asked if he could obtain abilities from killing different monsters, which it confirmed. It also told him that his name would be very long, which made him facepalm. Something suddenly caught his attention. It was the shelter once again. He decided to enter and gather more information. He decided that his first step would be copying all the data storage. Finn realized that he always comes back on the same timeline. He then decided to look up at his information. He was delighted to find out that the year of his death had changed. He decided to bring more techniques from the future after learning that the stretch became successful. He got curious about what happened to his teacher Rin in the future. The system panel showed Rin's achievement and history. Finn became soft after learning that Rin has become a historical figure. His eyes lit up as he realized that he could guide all the historical figures in the present, because if they worked together, they would be able to save the future. He then decided to learn the Tiger Fist cultivation technique. The system announced that the territory monster had arrived and he would die again. The monster once again showed up. His soul seemed to leave his body as he realized that he would be dead. His eyes narrowed, so he decided to fight it because he will die either way. Back at school, Rin announced that a student will have a chance to study at a higher education. She then opted to reveal the lucky student from their class. She revealed Finn's name, which his classmates already expected. Rin pointed to Finn that the bus in front will take him to the Star City Academy. She told him to study hard and learn for his future. Finn was disappointed because it wasn't the Galaxy University. It has the best cultivation technique. He remembered that Rin advised him to choose a different school because she graduated from Star Academy. She slapped his back and told him to get on the bus. The moment he arrived at the Star Academy, he was instructed by his class. Finn arrived at the cafeteria and found a lot of food. He grabbed a lot to eat because he had been constantly hungry, but he was shocked to find a girl with the same amount of food as he is. He found out that the girl named Aqua has runic crystals on her body, just like the monsters he fought with in the future. Aqua's gaze suddenly sharpened, which scared him because it was the same as the territory monster. She then munched her meat, which surprised him. At the cultivation farming class, Finn introduced himself and asked for his classmates' guidance, but a guy told him to get out of the class if he had little knowledge of it. Finn dismissed it and decided to tackle his knowledge about body cultivation technique. He began sharing his knowledge, but the students seemed to ignore him. But as the lesson continued, they became interested and listened to him. Someone suddenly smiled and praised him for being a professional, causing him to react in surprise. The girl asked if it was the cultivation class. She added that she was there to listen to him as the teacher. He tried to correct her by saying that he was not, but the students cut him off and told him to continue. Finn was exhausted after a long day of school. He thought of becoming a teacher after what happened today. He yawned and decided to sleep and go back to the future. But he suddenly heard someone from a distance. He got curious about who was playing the flute at this hour. He looked behind the bush and found Aqua sitting in a rock. He decided to compliment her music, but she asked if he wasn't afraid of her. He suddenly questioned why he should be afraid of her, to which Aqua revealed her name. But Finn didn't get it and introduced himself. He got curious if Aqua is famous, which made her remain silent. She then turned away from him, which made him confused. Later at night, Finn searched Aqua's name on their academy's platform. He scrolled over the platform and found out that she was a runic transformer. Runic marks are derived from the territory monsters and implanted to humans to gain strength. But those runic transformers lost temperament and sense of humanity. Despite that, there is a low chance of it becoming successful due to past experiments. Finn wonders why Aqua was still a runic transformer even if it was stopped a long time ago. But he found no information, and it was only flooded with a guy named Luke. The latter was an exchange student who is a rising star in terms of cultivation. Finn found him impressive because he had an early admission on Tiger Souls. He found out that Luke was also in the cultivation class, prompting him to wonder because he was in the same class. There are a lot of questions appearing on the platform. Finn realized that the Tiger Soul research recruits talented people in advance, reminding him of his teacher named Rin. He smiled at the thought of meeting Luke because he was as talented as Rin. He suddenly forgot that he was looking for information about Aqua, but he couldn't find more information about her. His eyes widened upon realizing that he could go to the shelter. He decided to sleep and once again fought with the undead, following by fighting the worms. He then typed Aqua's name on the search bar. He found out that Aqua will betray humans and revive the runic transformation experiment. Finn wonders why she was able to betray humans. He found out that it was because she was ostracized in school. After she graduated, she was recruited in the military and fought until a life and death situation. She betrayed the humans. During the Scarlet Research Institute mission, he realized that it would cause huge casualties to humans. He looked down, having only two options, whether to kill Aqua or change her future. Finn didn't expect that Aqua would betray the humans because she hasn't interacted with them. The system announced that there is one person he wasn't expecting, and it was the territory monster behind his back. Finn wonders what title he could get after killing it, so he faced it and decided to face the monster. But his energy suddenly depleted, causing him to return to the present. He sat down, feeling so hungry even though he ate a lot. He tried to sleep, but his empty stomach hurts. The next day, Finn got up worrying because he wasn't able to enter the future in his dreams. He worries that he couldn't improve his skills and save the world. He once again laid down because he was so hungry. A lot of tasty food was now in front of him. He started eating to his heart's content and did not hold back. He was surprised to find out that he regained energy by eating. He then noticed Aqua on the different table, realizing that his appetite is becoming like hers. He then carried all of his food and went straight to Aqua's table. The latter asked why he sat beside her, to which he revealed that he wanted to keep her company. The students were shocked because of this, but Finn did not mind them and just kept minding his food. He grabbed Aqua's pork chop and borrowed it, and then happily ate it. Aqua suddenly grabbed the water beside him and drank it instantly. The two of them suddenly became serious and started digging with their food. Finn grabbed the last egg, but Aqua fought with him, saying that it was hers. But Finn pleaded with her and gave his sweetest smile. Aqua's expression suddenly softened. She suddenly gave up and got up from the chair. Finn figured out that he only had to deal with her like a normal person, so he planned to approach her by having breakfast with her. He was so full and satisfied with the food when Aqua started digging again with her newly grabbed food. He suddenly called her out, which made her stop. He proposed becoming friends with her, which caused her to make a face. She suddenly got up and turned her back to him. Finn instantly regretted what he had said. The cafeteria lady suddenly scolded him for the food. He grabbed the bread and forced himself to eat to replenish his energy. He suddenly remembered that he could see the system panel in the present. Finn was inside the library, finding a book that teaches how to befriend women. When Luke suddenly arrived and introduced himself, Finn realized that it was the rising star student he wanted to befriend. Finn invited him to eat together, which he instantly agreed. The two of them walked together, and Luke admits that he was looking for him. Finn seemed to run out of energy by just listening to him. He jumped on his bed after a long day of listening to Luke. He then decided to sleep, but after a few minutes, he failed to enter the future. He decided to calculate the energy he needed, which left him to eat 250 to 500 meals. He searched for the special energy that could be bought online. He then decided to buy even though it was too expensive. He was now worrying how to live in the future with his little money left. The next day, his package arrived. He was thinking of which one he would open first, but he decided to try the energy bar first. He found out that the energy bar replenishes 5.3% of his energy, He then decided to try the 9-color flower next. It tastes awful for him, but it replenishes 25% of his energy. The last one was the Twilight Wolf Rune Crystal, which he spent a lot on. He then eats it anyway, and replenishes more than 100% of his energy. He now arrived at the future again. He swore that he won't die easily. He decided to do everything faster to have more time gathering data at the shelter. He successfully arrived at the shelter a few hours earlier than before. He once again checked Aqua's future, but it stayed the same. He found out that his action did not change a thing. He then wondered about Luke's future. It was revealed that Luke made a contribution but put a lot of people in danger and was called the misfortune of history. Finn found out that his taste in friends is quite peculiar. After that, he decided to search how to get rich. He found out that a MOBA game would be published and it was the same as the reality. The universities in the past allowed the students to enter the territory and a lot of them died. But after the Redemption game was published, it was a game changer to them, and the developer was the richest in the world. Finn tried to search for the Redemption game code. He managed to find it out, but it was a lot to memorize. He then decided to leave earlier from the shelter to avoid the territory monster. He now wondered where he would go because he left too early and alive. An undead suddenly showed up before him, but he was quick to react and killed it. He was too scared because he thought that it was the territory monster. An upgrade suddenly took place and his muscles grew bigger. His title became the Strong Undead and his bloodline increased. A few hours later, he arrived at the ruins that seemed to be the end of the world. He worries about living alone in the ruins. A warning suddenly popped up, prompting him to look around. He was stunned when his gaze landed in front. It was a giant eyeball monster looking down on him. Finn realized that his strength isn't enough for the eyeball monster. He gritted his teeth upon realizing that he couldn't move his body. The eyeball monster suddenly grips his body with its tentacles. He gritted his teeth in pain as he worried that he couldn't die there. Something suddenly arrived, which made the eyeball monster look up. It was the territory monster, looking at the both of them. The eyeball monster suddenly froze, while the territory monster surged towards them. It leapt through the scattered debris, wanting to attack the eyeball monster. It extended its hand and scratched the iris with full force. The eyeball monster loosened its grip to Finn's body. He then fell midair while the two monsters faced each other. He landed loudly on the ground, clutching his head while wondering who would win between the two. But he instantly dismissed the thought because he valued his life. He ran away from the scene while giving his good luck to them. But the system told him that it wasn't luck, because the territory monster was after him. He was frustrated because the panel was only half talking to him. The system announced danger and the giant monster appeared before him. Finn looked at it in horror because he just luckily escaped the eyeball monster, but he encountered another one. It let out a pink bubble, causing Finn to panic and think that he would die. He shouted in denial, but the bubble only popped. He checked himself, realizing that he was still alive. The system told him that the creature is very weak and he could beat it until death. He grabbed a bone nearby, alerting the monster that was hiding behind a rock. The monster let out multiple bubbles, but it was only popping without affecting Finn. Its eyes suddenly widened in disbelief, while Finn mocked it for not affecting him. He slapped the monster with a bone and repeated it again on the other side. It suddenly became dizzy with just 2 hits. Then Finn leapt upward to land a final blow. He smashed its head with the bone, causing it to fall on the ground unconscious. Because of the monster, Finn once again leveled up and received buffs. Back at the shelter, Finn searched for someone who knows how to create video games. He was able to search for Faji, the rising star in technology who met his tragedy. He sat down and thought about Faji's autobiography. He then decided to change Faji's fate for money and the future. The system panel announced someone inside, prompting him to turn his back and find the territory monster. Lying on his bed, he almost depleted all his energy by facing the monster. Finn once again sat beside Aqua to eat and asked if she could teach him to play the flute. Aqua wiped her lips and told him to come to the lake late at night to learn while bidding her goodbye. Finn's energy lit up because he got the chance to be close with her. Luke suddenly showed up, saying that Finn had been hitting Aqua. Finn told him that he doesn't like her, and he is only doing it for humanity. While walking, Luke asked if Finn would attend the cultivation class in the afternoon, prompting him to remember that the cultivation method Luke proposed ruined the lives of people. He faced him and told him that he was still young and did other things than cultivation. He grabbed his shoulder and suggested that he should get a girlfriend, but Luke opposed and turned his back to go to class. Inside the class, the two of them were bored from listening. Later at night, Aqua was once again playing her flute. Her eyes suddenly widened. She clutched her arms as it began turning into a monster. She shouted in pain as she couldn't bear it. She screamed even more and Finn arrived behind. The latter rushed towards her and asked what was wrong. His eyes suddenly widened in shock, seeing a nightmare before his eyes. He saw the little Aqua crying beside her dad. Her dad bid his goodbye to her, promising that they will be together again in the future. He handed her the flute, saying that it was the only thing he could leave behind. He told her not to be afraid and eat more to be strong. The little Aqua turned her head before she was dragged away. Finn shouted her name upon witnessing her memories, but her eyes were red as she lunged towards him. A massive explosion suddenly took place. It created a crater between them. Aqua looked worried and apologized to him, while Finn was having a hard time with his bruises. Fortunately, he has a self-healing ability. His eyes went sharp when he realized that Aqua became a test subject, which ruined her. Aqua's attitude to Finn has changed overnight. On the other hand, Luke was showing genuine interest in cultivation methods. Finn told her that magic is really great and she should read it. Luke agreed, but she said that she won't give up cultivation methods. Finn tried to convince her into doing magic, but Luke really wanted to cultivate. He decided to push a bit more, but Luke just won't budge. Finn was pissed as he stood up, leaving Luke confused. At the exchange class, Luke introduced himself. Finn wasn't listening. He was organizing his thoughts. He managed to organize and consolidate his experiences from the future. With that, he knew he had to obtain an authorized account to access information. He also has to investigate the Scarlet Research Institute. If necessary, he knew he had to cooperate with the government. He bit on his pen and finalized the list of the things he needed to do. It was then that Luke called him to speak a few words too. He was surprised, but decided to talk about the body tempering technique. As he stood up, everyone was excited because they'll learn something new from him. After school, he was really fatigued from all that discussion. Suddenly, a man praised him and invited him to apply to the Star Academy. It was a mysterious old man named Bert. The old man introduced himself as Finn's grand disciple's master. He then handed him his contact number. Finn accepted, though he knew that this was an attempt to keep him at the Star City Academy. Night came, and he had come to a remote place to meet with Aqua. But then, he saw her getting troubled by 3 punks. Aqua told them to stay away from her, but the boy suddenly slapped her across the cheeks. Seeing this, Finn was utterly surprised. They began kicking Aqua and beating her up. It was then that Luke intervened, telling them to stop. The students were surprised to see one of their seniors. Luke ordered the students to apologize to her. One word from her and the students apologized to Aqua. The latter walked away while Finn and Luke called to her. Finn knew she had immense power, but was just holding herself back. She was crying as she mentioned her flute. It turns out that her flute was broken by those students, and to make things worse, it was a flute that was left to her by her father. Finn knew how valuable this flute was to Aqua. Trying to cheer her up, he invited her to eat outside. Hearing this, she remembered her dad's words on how eating will make her better. She smiled, agreeing to come with Finn to eat. With this, the 3 of them happily went out to eat. The next day, Bert asked Finn what he knew about Aqua. He then advised him to stay away from her since she's dangerous. He added that Aqua was admitted to the academy at the request of the Scarlet Research Institute. It turns out that she was an experimental result, a rune-modified human project. Hearing this, Finn was surprised. He asked Bert if it was banned, to which he confirmed. However, the old man knew that the Scarlet Research Institute is quite special. It is a special organization that is backed by influential powers like the military. Hearing this, Finn realized how hard it must have been for Aqua. He then asked if she volunteered to the experiment, to which Bert confirmed. He revealed she was part of the scavengers, homeless people wandering around for food. Aqua participated in the experiment in exchange for receiving the best education. Finn began having conflicted thoughts, wondering if Aqua is really evil or not. His mind was a mess, and he couldn't think straight. He decided to look into the future dreamscape since he couldn't figure it out. There, he saw a massive monument with glowing letters on it. Upon reading the text, he saw that it was pretty much the same as before. He also saw the netizen comment section in the text, but then, he was confused to see that he suffered mental illness. Wanting to check the message left to him by his future self, he logged into his account. He couldn't enter the future dreamscape, but he managed to restore his spiritual energy again. Meanwhile, Luke got a beating from Bert for secretly practicing combat techniques again. He dragged her along and assured Finn that Luke will definitely change. Meanwhile, Finn feels awkward from the praises he receives. It was then that Aqua confirmed that he participated in the experiment voluntarily. Finn listened intently as she continued explaining. Afterward, he was invited to visit the Scarlet Research Institute. As he entered, he remarked that their defenses are too tight. The researchers showed him the projects they were working on, most of which were banned. Later, he pretended to go to the restroom to investigate secretly. He then followed a high-ranking official, only to discover a classified document. Finn continued browsing through the classified document. He also discovered a mysterious laboratory in the 3rd basement, where he was surprised by the unbelievable scene he witnessed. There he saw the researchers experimenting on humans, and it turns out that the researchers weren't human at all, but domain creatures. He wondered if the Scarlet Research Institute is actually controlled by domain creatures. Back at the Tiger Soul Research Institute, he began researching for information online. He then suspected that the Scarlet Research is secretly assassinating human geniuses. Later, he was shocked to see that Luke was assassinated. With this, he knew he had to get this information out, but his claims were met with skepticism, and everyone called him crazy. Learning from his mistake, his future self warned him to not reveal his secret. His future self then blessed him before he disintegrated. Finn was stunned, while his future self believed humanity would win. He managed to read the complete message. Now, he finally understands why the world ends every time he enters a future dream. Knowing this, he vows to shut down the Scarlet Research Institute. Now, he plans to gather the world's geniuses like Luke and Aqua to create a new organization. To do that, he needs to protect the geniuses of this era and teach future knowledge to the people. As he fought with the undead, he knew he must live well and change everything. He managed to clear them up in no time, but when he turned around, he saw a silhouette of a monster approaching him. He was so frightened and screamed in terror. He was quick to act and hid behind a wall. He knows how precious life is and decided to play safe. He ran to the main street cautiously as he observed his surroundings. He looked back, wondering if he already lost the pursuer. He climbed on top of a collapsed building to see where the enemy was. But then, he was surprised by what he saw. He couldn't believe that the monster had found him quickly. He jumped down, wondering why these monsters were chasing him. He knew he couldn't let himself get caught by these monsters, even if he had to die. But as he was running, he almost died from terror as he stumbled upon a sleeping monster. He couldn't believe that there was another domain creature. He decided to quietly step back and escape. But just then, the domain monster let out a sigh. It opened its eyes and looked at him, making Finn realize his doom. The monster had woken up and began chasing him. He continued running, thinking how dead he was. He blamed his rotten luck for running into so many monsters at once. To make things worse, the monster found him in no time and attacked. He continued to run while asking the system to think of something. He leaped over the rubbles of the collapsed buildings. The monster relentlessly chased after him. While he was running, the debris from the broken concrete was thrown around. But then, he met a dead end without shaking off the monster. He looked around, thinking it was over for him. However, the system told him that something was happening. When he looked, he was confused. The monster has had its attention in a different direction. There he saw the black silhouette chasing him earlier. The system figured out that the monster was attracted to Zio. The monster immediately charged its horn against Zio. Seeing this, Finn couldn't help but remark that the monster was so fast. With one sweep, Zio was torn apart by his horn. Seeing this, Finn realized how terrifying the monster was. He knew that he was doomed if even Zio couldn't stand a chance. But then, the smoke-like material from Zio's torn body began reforming. Finn exclaimed it was cool upon seeing that it can reform itself, but he knew it would be bad to stay, so he immediately bounced off. He heaved a sigh of relief, saying it was a good thing that Zio saved him. Suddenly, a plant root grabbed the bone he was holding. He tried to pull back but bumped into something behind him. He wondered why the wall was soft and squishy. But when he looked back, he saw that it was yet another sleeping monster. He knew he couldn't afford to mess with it, and decided to sneak out. At an empty building, Finn found a safe place to hide. He rested his back on the wall. His whole body aches and he was exhausted. He wondered what that place was. Not knowing of the lurking creature within, he stood up and tried to look around for anything useful. Suddenly, he was alarmed upon sensing a presence behind him. When he looked, he saw something moving from the corner of the hallway. Its glowing eyes were staring right at him. It suddenly launched forward, startling him. It was an uncanny creature that looked like a child, standing on top of his chest. He wondered if it was a rune-modified human, but the system knew it couldn't be human for it to survive in this harsh environment. Suddenly, the creature bit him in his ears. Finn was startled and threw the creature away. The creature was surprised by his sudden actions. It then leaped forward, aiming at Finn. It then wrapped its hands and legs around him to hug. Finn gave up and asked the system what it was, but even the system didn't know. However, they decided to name it Suki. Since they won't find anything in that place, they decided to go out. However, the wolf monster from earlier had woken up. It looked at them, drooling in hunger. All of a sudden, the wolf-like monster launched against them. The wolf monster put its paw against them, pinning them down to the ground. It gritted its teeth as it stared at them. Both Suki and Finn were terrified. Suki was so frightened that she suddenly punched the wolf. It was so powerful that the wolf was sent back slamming to the rubbles. Standing before Finn, he realized how terrifying this child was. She then went back to hugging him. She was all smiles, as if asking if Finn was proud of her. However, he was worried that she might go berserk and attack him. He thought that he could just throw it away. However, the system called him out and said it was still a child. Finn decided to carry Suki along. He then stumbled upon a place he hadn't been to before. Suddenly, Suki woke up from her sleep. She climbed down his body and ran off. Seeing her sprint away, Finn wondered where she was going. He chased after her, telling her to slow down. They arrived before a huge tree with pink leaves. Finn asked what this place was, and if Suki had been here before. The latter turned around with teary eyes. Finn knelt down and asked if this was her home, and if she had been missing her parents. The pitiful Suki burst out crying in his embrace. Finn hugged her tightly, and told her that she would stay with him from now on. At the Star City shelter, Finn never thought they'd make it to the place alive. Suddenly, the system warned him of an approaching threat. He turned around to see what it was, only to notice Zio that was chasing him earlier. Zio bared its claws at him, smirking. Finn didn't expect it to find him immediately. Suki gritted her teeth as she stared at the monster. She began scolding the monster and leaped forward. She charged at Zio amidst Finn, discouraging her. But then, a powerful beam of light was emitted from her body as she pushed Zio down. Finn was surprised that Suki was this strong. He decided to hide for now, leaving the situation to Suki. His current balance allows him for 2 more dream entries. He decided to check the past lottery grand number prizes first. He smirked, thinking he needed to make a fortune first with the lottery. He filtered the year and date by today. He knew he can't be too greedy since winning repeatedly will attract suspicion. He also took a look at the domain field details for rare resources. Back at the domain field, he wondered what Suki was doing since the fight seemed to have stopped. Little did he know, Zio was sneaking behind him. At the Star City Academy, Bert was asking Finn if he considered joining their academy after graduation. Without hesitation, Finn decided to be a teacher at the academy to teach martial arts. Hearing this, Bert's mood seemed to have soured up. This prompted Finn to reconsider his answer and lead a class instead. Bert then said that he would have to think about it. At his home, Finn went straight into trying his luck with the lottery. He was filled with anticipation, hoping for his numbers to win. Afterward, he slumped himself into the bed out of exhaustion. On his nightstand was a notebook filled with his scribbles. He couldn't sleep and went out, thinking about the current situation. He sighed, wondering how he can completely save the future. And since he decided to step forward, he knows he has to see it through the end. The next day, he informed Luke about his departure from the academy tomorrow. The latter was surprised, wondering when he would come back. Finn said he was just going to handle some matters and would be back soon. As they were talking, Aqua remained quiet. It was then that Finn handed her a new flute. Aqua received it, puzzled by his gesture. He then bade farewell and said he has classes. After the class, Finn informed the students that he will be away for a while tomorrow. It was then that a student named Sayu raised his hand. He introduced himself and asked him to teach them research cultivation methods. Hearing his request, Finn was taken aback. He promised to teach them once he gets back, causing the class to burst into cheers. Internally, Finn thought that this would be the death of him. He had to remind himself through his notes that he needs to look for a basic research theory. He thought that his class attracts the most talented students, which can become his core force later. Suddenly, his phone rang. He picked it up and asked the Grandmaster what's up. The man suddenly lashed on him from the other line, telling him to be a man of his word. Finn was so confused and surprised. Night came, and Aqua was asking Finn why he gave her a flute and treated her so well. After everything that happened to her, she believes there was a motive for his actions. He then told her that he understands the meaning of valuing objects from someone. His parents were soldiers who went missing, with only their personal weapons retrieved later. Aqua listened intently as he began opening up his backstory. He then turned to her and asked, but she refused to open up her story. Sensing her unwillingness, he diverted the topic and asked her postgraduate plans. She said that she wanted to join the Domain Expeditionary Force and be on the front lines. Finn then suggested he establish a force and make her his second in command. Aqua wore a smug look, prompting Finn to ask what was wrong. It turns out she thought of the same idea, except that she wants to be the leader. He awkwardly laughed, knowing there were many people who died under her command. At the apartment, Mori was surprised to see that Finn was back. He couldn't help but be jealous of Finn's situation. Seeing his hard work, Finn felt bad that he couldn't bring back future scientific research for him. But then, Finn was surprised to hear about the Scarlet Research Institute from Mori. To puzzle him more, Mori mentioned that biological science depends on them now. This confirmed his suspicions that they were behind the rune modifications. With this, he encouraged Mori to study hard and get into the said research institute. 5 days later, everyone graduated. This marked the beginning of Finn's journey to save humanity at Star City Academy. Then, a man guided him the way toward the administrative building, where he needed to register. When he looked, he saw that it was a Buddhist disciple named Krill. When asked about his outfit, he said it was part of their belief. Finn couldn't help but be in awe of his dedication and faith, only to be disappointed upon hearing that Krill will defy his beliefs. At the opening ceremony, new students were welcomed by the faculty. From afar, Krill was worried because the students seemed so fierce. Finn assured him that they were friendly, but Krill did not believe him. To prove it, Finn approached his acquaintances and greeted them. Seeing that they weren't hostile, Krill was relieved. He then approached a group of gangster-looking students and greeted them. But then, the students did not like it and thought he was being disrespectful. Seeing the students being hostile, Krill wondered what went wrong. Finn watched as he got beaten, thinking that Krill was so slow. At the Combat Class 3, Finn thinks that every student in this academy only got in through connections. Bert smiled at him, saying it was not the case. But Finn knew that he was lying. While browsing his files, Finn learned that Krill was among the students he will teach. He was then surprised to learn that Krill was the sole direct disciple of the Jin Temple. It turns out that this temple is made up of prestigious people. Finn couldn't help but smile, thinking these connections would be beneficial to him. However, one single purchase drained all his money. All that money was used to replenish his energy. He then decided to enter the future dreamscape this time. However, he was surprised to see that he had become a traitor to humanity. The people were hating on him, so he believed that it must be true. He then found a recording of his execution and played it. There he saw himself, wearing a prisoner's clothes and being escorted to execution grounds. He looked forward and asked everyone if they really hate him that much, only to be met by the people's wrath as they threw things at him. Finn quietly received their hate, saying they will never understand what he had done for them. The blade of execution was raised, but before it landed, Aqua arrived and called his name. Finn told her not to interfere, as he was just a mere traitor. However, Aqua does not care, and proceeds to pull him out. Finn then flicked her hands, saying he's not living. Seeing his firmness, Aqua was stunned. She turned around tearfully, vowing to avenge him soon. Even Krill was there, praying for him. Finn didn't expect the monk to come see him off then. According to the system, Krill died at 219 years old. Learning all this info, Finn wondered what happened to Aqua later. He knew he would rather die than keep Aqua's miserable ending. But seeing that it didn't change, he was disheartened that his efforts were in vain. After gathering info, Finn figured out that a commander's meeting was held after his death. He also learned that Aqua killed all the commanders in that meeting. He wondered what exactly happened and why she killed them. He knew she was supposed to stop the Scarlet Research Institute, but he decided not to blindly trust the historical records since they lie at times. If anything, he knew his future self wouldn't lie to him. He then saw the 101 unread messages on his inbox and opened it. He learned that he had organized a group from the class. Aqua formed her group and entered the top 10 strongest. Luke did not give up on the cultivation methods. He also learned that someone was already protecting his list of geniuses already. The Scarlet Research Institute was destroyed by some hero who thought the same thing as him. He learned that the institute didn't stop and restarted the rune modification human project. His future self suspects that someone was getting the same intel as him. Soon, the Star City garrison investigated him for rebellion. Before his future self was arrested, he left a final warning for himself. It turns out that there was a spy among Finn's students. He figured out that maybe the Scarlet Research Institute actually protects the geniuses. However, he can't believe that since humans and domain creatures are mortal enemies. Suddenly, the system alerted him that Zio will arrive in 3 minutes. He decided to step back now and escape. He wondered if there was really no way to subdue Zio. He knew that leveling up is the only way, but he can't risk his life grinding. Suddenly, the system warned him of the presence of a domain creature. He turned back to escape, but the monster Sabretooth already noticed him. He began frantically running while the monster chased after him. He asked for help, thinking that things would be different if Suki was there. Suddenly, a streak of pinkish energy pierced through the sky out of nowhere. It landed on the ground, tossing the Sabretooth with violent force. It was so powerful that it tore through the Sabretooth's jaw. The pinkish streak then came approaching Finn. It turns out that it was Suki, and both were delighted to see each other. They hugged each other, and Finn was happy she came upon his call. He thought that he might as well team up with Suki to level up. Now reunited, the two of them went on, taking down various domain creatures to level up. Finn stopped Suki, saying he must be the one to land the finishing blow. But Suki was so strong she unintentionally ended the fight in one punch. Seeing he can't gain experience, Finn was disheartened. Looking at the bright side, he thought he was fine as long as he didn't run into Zio. But moments later, he saw Zio sprinting towards him. He immediately turned back to escape while cursing. To divert his attention, he thought he had to find an opponent for his pursuer. Hearing from the system that there was a creature ahead, Finn raised a piece of bone. He then threw it at the creature ahead. The creature turned back at him, seemingly pissed. Finn turned around, looking at the flustered Zio. It was then that the one-eyed creature noticed Zio's existence. Finn took this chance to escape to the safe zone. As he ran away, he wished Suki could talk. Suddenly, Suki leaped off from his shoulders. He found themselves in front of the tree once again. Finn wondered why Suki always cries when they come to that place. Just then, he noticed something on the ground and dug it. After a while, he noticed that it was a metal box containing his name. He was so happy thinking it was his life savings. But when he opened it, there was nothing but a pile of powder. He was disappointed upon realizing that it was his ashes. Then, buried next to the box is a flute. It turns out that Aqua buried her flute with him. It was then that he realized Suki was mourning him. The system then asked if Suki might be Aqua. They couldn't deny the resemblance between the two. Finn suspected the Scarlet Research Institute transforming Aqua into Suki. However, he thinks it was too far-fetched. He buried back his ashes and gave the flute to Suki. She happily blew into it and played music. Hearing this, Finn couldn't help but think that Suki might really be Aqua. With this suspicion, he headed to the database to find more info. He was able to unlock new data and made some discoveries. It turns out that Aqua's remains were eventually recovered and preserved. Seeing this, Finn thought that all great warriors are destined to be lonely. He looked at Suki, thinking how their encounter was similar to how she met Aqua. With this, he vowed to find Aqua's remains. He checked the maps, suspecting her remains may have long been buried under ruins, and that ruins was revealed to be the current Star City shelter. Realizing this, Finn was so surprised as he thought that Aqua's remains might be here all along. He proceeded to check the doors of the building together with Suki. He stopped by the first door, remarking it looks very sturdy. However, he does not know what the password is. Thankfully, opening the door is nothing with Suki's strength. As he entered, he was surprised to see the huge laboratory. Seeing different body parts and specimens, he remarked that it was creepy. Browsing the files, he saw that this laboratory worked on genes that inhibit human reproduction. They then used cloning technology to compensate for human casualties. Afterward, the two of them broke through the next room. It turned out to be the underground farm where future humans cultivated crops. The third room was classified as top secret, and they were unable to read data. Seeing the experiments, Finn remarked it looks like another perverted scientist's office. But then, he was surprised to see that it was Zio. He also saw a picture of Zio on the wall. They learned that Zio is a mass-produced dimensional creature of unknown origin. Finn feels frustrated that he has no weaknesses. Checking its data, it was revealed to have extreme aggression against humans. Shortly after, Zio arrived at the scene. Finn gave up, thinking it was his end. Finn thought that he might survive as long as he did not move. But then, Zio locked eyes with him. That was when he realized that he was really done for. Zio immediately attacked him, to which Suki quickly threw a punch against it. The punch was so powerful that Zio's body disintegrated. Seeing her power, Finn was so surprised. He thought that this is the perfect chance to run away while he's still regenerating. He immediately grabbed Suki and ran away. In no time, Zio managed to reform himself again. He saw Finn running away with Suki. Zio immediately chased after them. It extended its claws to grab them. Suki was quick to act and slashed his hands. She followed up with a punch, tearing through his body. Zio evaded and countered by grabbing her down. He pinned her down to the ground forcefully, but Suki easily broke free and slammed down his hands. Seeing their fight, Finn knew it was not something he could intervene. As the chaos ensued, he decided to search for ways to help Suki defeat Zio. But then, the chaos from their fight was so powerful it destroyed the database. Finn feels like the shelter is about to collapse, and he hopes for Suki's safety. When he noticed that there was no movement anymore, he opened his eyes. He then saw Suki slammed onto the rubbles. There Zio was, standing in front of them. He grabbed Finn's neck and lifted him up. Suddenly, Suki pierced through Zio's chest. As Finn fell to the ground, he cheered for Suki to beat the enemy. The latter stood, her eyes glowing red as she rose up. She then unleashed a powerful punch that shook the ground. It was then that Finn felt the shelter was about to collapse. He frantically rushed up to climb and get out, but the entire place began to crumble to the ground. Finn fell down, with the rubbles and debris all around him. Beneath the collapsed building, Zio emerged. He then charged toward Finn with intense hostility. Finn rose up, wondering if there was really no way to beat the enemy. At the academy, the instructor was orienting the new students about the purpose of the special training. The students seemed wary and nervous by the instructor's fierceness. It was then that Finn entered the scene. He remembered the spy among his students and vowed to find that person. The students looked at him, thinking he does not look like a good person at all. Meanwhile, a red-haired boy caught Finn's attention for not sweating amidst the harsh training. After the dismissal, Finn called the boy and asked for his name, but the student only ignored him and walked away, leaving him confused. Finn chased after him and introduced himself, then asked for his name again. The boy introduced himself as Yuki. Finn figured out that he had no authority to view Yuki's information. He would have suspected him if not for the fact that he protected the geniuses of this era. Finn smiled and told him to tell more about his blank personal information. However, Yuki just walked away without a single word, pissing Finn off. The latter said he would just ask his future self when he returned to the dreamscape. However, he's out of money now and can't return to the dreamscape. Seeking Bert for info was futile. He also couldn't disclose his info. Finn lashed out and said he had the right to know as he was his teacher. Bert then agreed, revealing he was from the Tongtian Road. But Finn didn't know if it was an organization or a battle group or whatever. Bert changed the topic and told him he had good news. He whipped out a folder containing info about the theoretical concepts competition. Hearing that he could earn money, Finn was elated. He thought it was a coincidence since he happened to have a new concept recently. He then left the room, jumping happily on his way. However, he forgot to pry deeper about Yuki's info. He sighed and gave it up, saying Bert must have his reasons too. He went on his way and decided he would just investigate by himself. Sitting underneath a big tree, he wondered who the mole was. He eliminated Krill, and he would investigate Yuki, so there are 9 more people. He silently continued thinking while watching the class training. He saw the 3 brothers from the 100 Beast Legion, deducing they weren't moles. He also eliminated Jiro, the top student from Bagua Talisman Array Research Institute. Additionally, he eliminated Yanni and Cassie because of their military and medical backgrounds. He was not suspicious of Ping and Yanfu either, who both looked like honest people. Looking at the last student named Chard, he does not suspect him either. This brings him a dilemma that makes his head ache. Suddenly, he was surprised to hear an angry voice from one of the students. It was Brad, calling out Yuki's attitude. The latter said he's not interested in the activity, so he's going back. He proceeded to turn around, calling them weak. Hearing this, Brad was utterly humiliated and furious. He immediately punched Yuki from behind, but the latter managed to evade. Krill was surprised upon watching this spectacle. His brothers, Earl and Kem, also called Brad reckless. Meanwhile, Jiro informed them that the teacher was watching. Cassie remarked that it was quite the heavy punch, while the remaining boys remarked how dirty of a sneak attack it was. Seeing his lax attitude, Finn expects a lot from Yuki. However, he was conflicted on whether to stop the fight or let it be. It was a shame he couldn't bring the savior into reality. He couldn't watch them fight freely. Meanwhile, Yuki urges Brad to stop since he doesn't want to hurt him. Hearing this, Brad was so humiliated. He charged forward to smash him down to the ground. But with one swift move, Yuki managed to render him unmoving to the ground. The class bursted into cheers upon seeing how cool he was. Meanwhile, Earl and Kem wondered what Yuki did to Brad. The latter only told them to take him to the infirmary and bid his farewell. Meanwhile, Finn thought that he must investigate Yuki first. Finn managed to search for Yuki's information. He also found out that he died alongside him because of the alleged betrayal. He then tried to look up for the Tongtian Road, but there were no resources found. He realized that Bert just made it up to stop him from questioning. He dismissed the case and decided to read comments. He saw his future self establishing the Dawn organization. He asked Yuki to protect the genius of the team, Jiro, who was undercover at the Scarlet Institute. Jiro gave Finn the location of the new base, and he set a trap to catch the mole. But the traitor did not fall for it, and the real base was destroyed. Him and Jiro were the only 2 who had the real information, so he suspected that he was the traitor. The guard asked Finn to remove any metal accessories because he did not pass. He insisted that he didn't have it, but the metal detector detected something on his wrist. He was dragged by the military and let Mori handle everything. The present Finn cried because his future self died cheerfully. He decided to trust Mori and sent him a message. The future Mori suddenly appeared and greeted him. The 3 brothers were executed after Finn's death. Jiro was also executed by the Scarlet Institute, and till his last breath, he did not badmouth him. While Yuki followed the same exact destiny as the first ones, the others were held in prison for a lifetime for joining the Dawn organization. Aqua still formed her Dawn rebel group, but she also fell on the hands of humans. The Star City became in danger because the Silver Moon expanded, but Suki showed up and repelled it as if she was protecting something. Suki does not like humans, but she held tight on the red-haired girl. Suddenly, the system panel announced that Zio the monster had arrived. Finn looked worried because he once again died. He decided to block the door where Zio was appearing, but the system reminded him that the clock is ticking. Finn fought with the undead and the worm monsters. He once again leveled up and developed so many muscles, but the system mocked him because he would easily be blown up by domain creatures. He leapt through the stones, feeling satisfied with his stamina and speed. He then tried to look for Suki. He crawled through the ground while avoiding to make noise. The system told him that there is a rare plant nearby which got him confused. He was dumbfounded when he realized that he stepped on it. He leaned closer and thought that it looked ordinary. The system told him that it was a super rare power plant and he should dig in. After lifting it up, Finn thought that it was just an ordinary plant, but the system revealed that it hides a power seed that could multiply abilities and told him to feed it to Suki. He was delighted upon hearing that Suki might be able to kill Zio. He went to the place where Suki was first seen, but she was nowhere to be found. He realized that it was the ruins of an experimental building. The system told him that the tile he was walking on was unusual, prompting him to look down. He broke it down and found a metal basement door. Finn couldn't open the door and thought about Suki. The system told him that she might be crying at his grave again. Finn planned to lure Zio to another domain monster to lessen the obstacles. The system panel couldn't specify the monster because it was too far. Finn moved closer, prompting the goat monster to look at him. He was terrified because he had been discovered, prompting him to run as fast as he could. But he realized that it didn't chase him, so the system told him to move a little closer. Finn tried to throw a stone at it, causing it to get angry. But the monster turned its back again, prompting Finn to wonder if it was an idiot. Zio suddenly appeared behind his back as the system announced danger. Finn shouted for help. When Zio walked closer, he noticed that the goat monster instantly got up. He was delighted and commended it for being tall and mighty. The two monsters gazed at each other, facing each other with a fighting stance. Zio opened its wide mouth as it tried to intimidate the goat. It was successful because the goat monster ran as fast as it could. Zio once again turned to Finn, prompting him to face it. He decided to follow the path of the goat monster and escape with him. He noticed the stone shaped like a sheep, realizing that it was its lair. The system told him that Zio is approaching, causing him to get mad at it being loud. Zio was coming faster and faster, causing the panel to tell him to go inside the cave. He decided to follow the system even if it was too risky. He grabbed the power seed to make a light out of it. He touched something sticky which made him react in disgust. He managed to find the exit, but it was only a group of sheep gathered before the golden egg. Finn suspected that inside that egg was an alive object. He noticed a red light blinking that made him feel suspicious. Zio instantly launched towards him. Finn fell on the ground being startled, catching the attention of the sheep monsters. Zio tried to intimidate them, causing them to stand up. The monsters began fighting each other. The system panel told him that they were magic users as he died being impatient. The sheep monsters trapped Zio with their golden magic, causing Finn to get delighted because it was powerful. He tried to crawl and planned to get out of the scene, but the system told him that the only exit was blocked. It then asked him to check the crystal in the middle. It urged him to break and kill it, making Finn think twice. The system told him not to be scared because it does not possess threat. The sheep suddenly opened its eyes, causing Finn to panic because he thought that it was awake. Finn punched the crystal, but the defense was too high for him. He shouted in pain because his hand became disabled by its defense. The system told him to give up, but he refused to listen. He grabbed the power seed and ate it, and one of the sheep monsters suddenly noticed him and lunged from behind. The system told him to watch his back, but Finn seemed to become stronger as he managed to punch the sheepman. It landed directly on the others, causing their formation to deteriorate. The system told him that they could no longer restrain Zio, and they only had one chance. Finn raised his disabled hand and slashed the crystal with utter determination. He managed to break through it and freed the baby sheepman inside. The system ordered him to kill the sheepman and dig its heart, prompting Finn to follow instantly. Finn grabbed its heart and decided to bite it. He suddenly lit up and seemingly came to an awakening while the system noticed him turning into a mortal. Finn's body suddenly grew larger as it glowed, causing him to react in pain. The sheepman seemed to be terrified about it. Finn shouted, and the energy seemed to escape from his mouth. He realized that he was losing consciousness and it was about to explode. Zio suddenly appeared behind him to plunge an attack, but Finn managed to strike and cut him in half. Zio's severed body landed on the ground, with Finn feeling the infinite power inside his body. Zio tried to form his body once again, but the sheepman took a step forward. They released their magic and restrained him from forming his body back. They managed to separate his body, while Finn's body is getting out of control. He seems to be struggling, descending upward with his own strength. He surged through the sky with his uncontrolled power. He shouted in pain, and his body seemed to release the power inside of him. He finally lost his strength and began descending on the ground. Finn landed on the ground, feeling so sick and tired. He tried to sit down, feeling so hollow inside. He was shocked when he found out that his body had turned into a skeleton again. The system told him that he was lucky to obtain a legendary bloodline, but his body was too weak and he couldn't handle it. Finn got up and started walking while clutching his pants. The system asked what his plans were, because he was in a dangerous state. The undead skeleton was eating the other one. When Finn arrived, carrying a stone, he smashed its head, causing him to gain his body back. He arrived at the place where Suki resides, but a strong wind suddenly took place. It was a massive bird lurking around the area. It made a loud noise as it flew. Finn cursed, while wondering if it was a domain creature. The system confirmed it, and told him not to worry because it was a high-level creature. His eyes narrowed because he had to be stronger to face it and save humans. But the system told him not to overthink it because it takes one step at a time. Finn finally arrived at his burial ground. He started to look for Suki, calling her name around, but the system told him that there is a domain monster behind. He got excited, thinking that it was Suki. It turns out that it was a massive monster. The monster hit the ground with its claw, the other one landing in front of Finn. He was devastated to be sent to reality with that, but he realized that he was still alive. The monster was suddenly wounded. Its head started decapitating. It then landed on the ground headless, with Finn being startled as the system announced that there is a higher-level monster behind it. The system warned him that a domain creature is arriving. Finn couldn't believe that after one died, another one would come. But he seems to recognize the figure behind the monster. It was Suki, the one he had been looking for. The latter raised the monster's head and drank its blood. Finn realized that if she kept eating, her ability would increase, just like Aqua, who only needs to eat. His eyes sharpened and realized how awesome it was. Suki excitedly jumped in his arms. He raised her high, noticing that her wounds instantly healed. He embraced her tightly, finally seeing her again. He dug out the buried flute and gave it to her before leaving the burial place. Back at the sheepman's lair, Zio just finished taking down the army of sheep. While Finn and Suki arrived at the star shelter, he instantly turned his head in worry, which prompted the system to ask what he was doing. He fixed his gaze in front of the entrance, prompting the system to realize that he was waiting for Zio. Finn decided to wait for Zio, because he would destroy everything if he found out. The two of them sat down in front, as Finn had come to realize that Zio will only come after him again and again. He patted Suki's head and decided to rely on her. The system announced that Zio had arrived. The latter appeared from above. His attack landed on the ground because Finn managed to dodge Suki. He realized that Zio became faster and learned tactic. He brought down Suki and decided to let her handle it. Suki lunged an attack towards Zio, which the latter welcomed. Finn went down the star shelter again. He hoped for Suki to hold back Zio for too long. He once again meets Mori through the screen. The latter told him that sending email is not enough. Mori revealed that his time-traveling ability might be exposed to others. Finn gave it a thought and realized that sending emails is dangerous. Mori revealed the brain in the vat experiment, wherein the brain is removed after death. He proposed that he could still read his own memories and could control his future self. The system praised Mori, but Finn worries about his future self's life. The system suggested apologizing to his future self every time he enters the dream. Finn was now done gathering information, realizing that Zio hasn't returned, so he decided to open another room. He instantly kicked the wall to open one. He coughed a lot because of how dusty it was. He noticed an old machine inside, only to find out that it was a food processing room. Finn climbed through the stairs while listening to the system. He wondered what the nutrient paste was, remembering that it was made of cockroaches. He remembered his classmates being excited after graduation, but it was now a devastating future. But the system argued that he could rewrite it all, prompting Finn to think hard about it. The room number 5 was an armory. He tried a sword, but it did not come as handy as bones. He spotted a scroll, thinking that it was a martial arts manual. He instantly opened it and realized how long it was. It was revealed that the scroll was a Tongchen painting. He asked the system about the origin of the scroll, but it was as clueless as him. The system suggested that he should burn it to find something, but he found it nonsense. Even so, he tried burning the scroll, soaking it in water, and tearing it with his bare hands. He tossed the scroll at the back, being tired of it. He decided to spend more time checking the rooms. His eyes suddenly bulge out, seeing severed humans in front. He realized that it was only a specimen. Finn finished opening 3 rooms and decided to study martial arts knowledge. The system mocked him for seeking death, but he swore to defeat Zio with his own blood. Finn was frustrated because he couldn't find any information about the bloodline abilities. The system informed him that he was the only one who had it, which made him devastated. The shelter suddenly shakes and the debris begins falling. Finn wondered if Suki and Zio will blow up the shelter again. A message popped up asking if rune-modified humans were good or bad, so he decided to open and check it. Humans discovered that rune crystals possessed immense power. The initial experiment was a success, but the drawbacks began escalating. Some test subjects experienced rejections and caused accidents. Finn realized that the Scarlet Institute was using the experiment to create superhuman soldiers. Aqua was one of the successful experiments, and she holds the key for them. The domain creature possessed godlike energy. The legend said that it descended on the ocean and its body became an island. But Finn was sure that it would unleash its power and trigger a terrifying disaster. He deduced that it would cause the human downfall because it was Aqua's rune. With Aqua restarting the experiment, it was a call to create soldiers. Finn peeked outside because the sound had stopped. He wondered if Suki was still alive. The system announced that it detected a large number of domain creatures. Finn finally spotted the 2 which were facing each other. He found out that Suki was still alive, but she was injured. On the other hand, Zio was critically injured by their fight. Finn became delighted, thinking that Suki could kill Zio. He instantly got up and cheered for Suki. Zio noticed him and instantly flashed a wide grin. It instantly turned to him, causing him to hide behind the rock. Zio turned into a black sphere, gathering energy from the undead. Suki held herself together, while Finn covered his ears because of the loud noise. Zio grew bigger and continued sucking energy. A dark aura surrounded the big stone that he was hiding from. Zio grew so much larger. Suki and Finn's eyes widened as they witnessed it. Zio crushed the skeleton in his hand as his body fully recovered. It instantly turned his gaze to Finn, prompting him to regret celebrating early. Zio rushed towards him to strike an attack, causing Finn to shut his eyes in frustration and fear. But Suki instantly appeared and attacked Zio, severing both his hands and causing bruises in his body. Finn seemed to look up for her again. Suki went berserk and threw punches towards Zio. It made his body severely wounded and lost most of its limbs. But Zio sucked energy from around him once again, causing the undead to turn into dust. The energy went directly in Zio's direction, and Finn could only look up while cursing to death. A massive form of energy appeared above Zio. He opened his mouth wide and let out a scream. Suki became alerted. As it descended before her, Finn crawled back to the shelter. He pleaded with the system to come out and ask who Zio was. The system revealed that it was a soldier that is specially made to kill him, the history changer. It then asked what his plans were, but he was only waiting to die. It then mocked him and told him that he doesn't need to wait. Zio appeared behind him, carrying a part of Suki. He tossed it to the ground, causing Finn to weep in sorrow. He grabbed Suki's ear and trembled in pain. He knelt down and cried for her. Finn decided to get up and fight with Zio to avenge Suki. Finn was utterly enraged, saying he can't forgive Zio. A terrifying energy began to gather within his body. But even so, Zio continued provoking him. Finn let out a cry of wrath. He then charged forward against Zio. He grabbed his legs in attempts to tackle him down. The smiles on Zio's face were replaced with surprise. After all, Finn managed to push him back with his strength. He was so furious and managed to lift Zio up. He then slammed him down to the ground with force. But Finn wasn't done. He followed up with a punch. The punch was so powerful and hit him solidly, to the point that Zio was unable to use missed evasion. The wrathful Finn unleashed a barrage of punches that kept Zio down. He also followed up with an uppercut, tearing from his stomach up through his jaw. This release of power had him fatigued and panting. Letting his guard down, he gave Zio a chance to rip off his hand. Zio used Finn's own hands to slap him in the face. It was a powerful hit that sent him reeling backward. He coughed hard from the impact, while Zio approached him while holding his ripped hand. He grabbed his head, then lifted him up. Finn continued to cough. He was weakened. Seeing he couldn't fight anymore, Zio impaled Finn's chest with his own ripped arm. He then cut the dismembered arm from the elbow using his thumb claw. He threw Finn to the ground, while the system wondered what he was trying to do. A smile flashed in his face, while the system figured out that he was trying to stimulate Finn. The latter's heart began beating out of its rhythm. Finn woke up, his eyes filled with berserk rage. He managed to awaken his bloodline ability. Finn's body was distorted. A horn grew on his chest as he regenerated his arm. It turns out that Zio suffered a loss to the bloodline before and wanted revenge. The awakened Finn unleashed a loud roar at him, but Finn's energy was depleted, leaving Zio alone and confused. Back to his bed, Finn was frustrated because he almost won. To replenish his lost energy, Finn ordered a lot of food. The shop cook told him that wastefulness is a disgrace, thinking he can't eat it all. Contrary to her expectations, he ate it all up in a single inhale. After eating, he proceeded to go to the library. He found Krill reading and studying there. He smiled upon seeing how hard-working and dedicated to learning Krill was. But then, he saw that it was actually a woman's magazine. He was enraged and told Krill to explain himself. Krill said that facing his temptation directly is the way to overcome it. He sighed and demanded to call his parents, but Krill argued he didn't have one. Pissed, Finn demanded him to call his master instead. Feeling desperate, Krill had to kneel and beg Finn. The latter let it slide, but on the condition that he must do well on the midterms exam. Outside, Luke asked if he was participating in the team competition. He added he was participating, confident that he could beat Aqua. Finn taunted him, asking who gave him that confidence. Back at his house, there was a package on his door. Finn was surprised since he does not remember ordering anything online recently. He checked and saw that it was from the Joint Research Institute. Upon opening, it contained all sorts of gifts. The box also contained a certification document for him. He also saw a silver medal awarded to him. There was also a bottle of merit wine for him. He called Luke and invited him by the lake. He asked if he was coming or not, to which Luke agreed. He dropped the call and proceeded to contact Aqua this time. By the lake, he whipped out 3 wine glasses and the bottle of wine. Luke was surprised to see the prestigious merit wine. Aqua asked what kind of wine it is, to which Luke said it was something that can't be bought. It was especially refined with many rare medicinal herbs, greatly improving cultivation efficiency. Luke added that it was worthy of being a family heirloom. The three of them clinked their glasses, raising a toast for the rise of humanity. Finn took one sip from his wine glass, and he was so surprised by its taste. The liquor felt like it was carrying him to the heavens. Just one sip and he was able to replenish most of his energy. He turned to Aqua and asked how she was feeling. To his surprise, he saw Aqua's hand glowing from the effects of the wine. Finn knew she had always been this good at absorbing energy from food. He smiled and offered her another cup, to which she denied. Hearing his refusal, Finn was surprised. He then realized that she was reluctant to part with it. He remembered how she chose to stay with him in the future, amidst every hardship. As a token of gratitude, he smiled and poured her another cup of wine. He thought that it might be better to give Aqua his future email password. They then turned to Luke and asked how he felt. Luke's nose was bleeding. He couldn't drink anymore. He immediately jumped into the river, leaving both Aqua and Finn confused. Finn asked if he was going to drink the last half cup or not. At the Star City Heroes Monument, Finn took his time wandering around. He was then surprised to hear a voice. Checking it, he saw 3 students behind the bushes. Taba said that the resources should only be in the hands of nobles like them. Bunot added that commoners do not deserve resources since they are useless. Thibaut agreed, saying they will form a group called Destiny Association. Hearing this rang a bell to Finn. He remembered how this group destroyed humanity in the future. This prompted him to approach 3 students. Taba wore a smug look and asked if he wanted to join too. Finn was so pissed by his attitude that he spanked him so hard. Taba cried a lot as he received both a beating and an earful. He beat all 3 of them, threatening to beat them more if they formed an association. Leaving things like this, Finn was worried because they might still form an association. At the dreamscape, Finn came back in a hood. He called for Zio, declaring he will avenge Suki. He stood face to face with Zio, ready to fight. Zio roared loudly at him, then charged forward against Finn. The latter remarked that Zio was too slow. With just his spiritual telepathy finger, he managed to defeat Zio. Before leaving the dream, he expressed his disappointment. He then woke up and wrote a new plan, saying a good dream is a good omen. He planned to eat tomorrow and travel through time at night. The next day, he began munching on tons of food to replenish his energy. Luke wondered if he was secretly competing with Aqua, to which he denied and continued stuffing his mouth with food. As soon as he reached full energy, he headed to bed with a bloated tummy. He also decided to drink a beverage to help him sleep. He lied down after drinking. Shortly after, he was back at the dreamscape. He smiled and called the system to work. The system asked for a leave request, but he denied. Gathering info, he found out that he became an unexpected hero who died early. The system asked him why he was sad, but no one would be happy with dying unexpectedly. However, he now knows that the mystery of Aqua's city slaughter would be revealed. But he was surprised to see that his message inbox was empty. They figured out that the enemies must have deleted his email after discovering it. Finn was so pissed that he began to sulk now that the clues are gone. He decided to search for himself this time. According to the information, the Dawn Rebels are powerful enough to contend with the entire world. He learned about Ruby, the new leader of the Dawn Army after Aqua's death. Upon searching her personal info, he saw that there were a lot of unknown details about him. Finn remarked that this person seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. He decided to ignore her and learn new cultivation techniques and knowledge. But when he browsed through the next chapter, he was so stunned he couldn't understand it. Realizing that he's now reading advanced knowledge, he felt proud to push historical progresses forward. Finn readied himself and began reviewing the new knowledge. After studying, Finn was so mentally fatigued. He then wandered around with a bat in his hand. He's not afraid of Zio anymore since he had beaten him once. Shortly after, he began hitting the undead skulls like baseball. He grew powerful enough to kill monsters even while playing. He was elated, enjoying the feeling of rampaging. He laid on the ground filled with so many spirit plants. After enjoying himself that much, he feels refreshed. Suddenly, the system warned him of the presence of a high-level creature. When he looked, there was a humongous monkey above him. It picked him up with ease, as if making fun of him. The monkey then flicked him between the legs to taunt him. Finn was so enraged by the monkey's action, but the monkey seemed to be having fun playing with him. Finn clutched his crotch tightly, threatening to kill the monkey. He bit his fingers, effectively wounding him. His body began to distort as he activated his bloodline ability. He grew massive to the point that his clothes were torn. With this, he managed to escape the monkey's grasp. He planted his foot firmly to the ground to gain potential energy, then launched forward and pierced through the monkey's body. After that one attack, all of the muscles in his body were gone and only bones remained. It was all worth it since he managed to kill the monkey. Finn thought he did well, while the system told him to consider himself lucky. Seeing his title, he thinks that he's one step closer to having thousands of prefix titles. After a short while, Finn was seen carrying a huge boulder on his back. He then placed it down to the ground, aiming to test his new ability. He unleashed one punch that cracked the boulder. In no time, the massive stone was split into half. With this, Finn's training was complete. He grinned and said it was just a low-tier and last resort skill. What he truly wanted was a long-range ability that can take out opponents from afar. The system told him to abandon his stubborn thoughts and accept his talent. However, he realized that this dialogue was something he told Luke in reality. He suspected the system existed in reality and asked why it wouldn't help him there. The system remained silent for a while, then changed the topic by saying Zio was approaching. After a while, he punched the boulder in front of him. He was frustrated that his brute strength was gone. To make things worse, he has encountered a massive domain creature. He blamed the system for not warning him properly, but it didn't respond. Frustrated, he decided he would find Suki. The domain creature seemed to notice something, but not Finn. After going a bit offline, the system finally talked to Finn. The latter said he does not trust it anymore, to which it asked if it should leave. Seeing he needed the system, he couldn't speak. He decided to trust it one more time for now. After some time, they reached a massive tree. It turns out that this is the place where the system could sense the aura of a high-level monster. Hearing this, he came out from hiding to search. Little did he know, Suki was already behind him. The two of them hugged each other tightly. Finn then invited Suki to continue with their investigations. Suki smiled at him with utter genuineness. Finn remarked that he had grown heavy, to which the system taunted him for being weak. The system announced that there were no signs of high domain creatures. Finn held Suki's hand and went inside the star shelter. He then asked her if she could break the metal door. She instantly followed him and grabbed the door. Finn instructed her to see what's inside the passage. He found another handle inside it, so he decided to pull it up. The ground shakes and opens for another entrance. Finn and Suki look down, with him wishing that there's nothing scary inside. He figured out that the layout inside is the same as the shelter. The passage is getting narrower and has fewer doors. Finn found out that it was an empty laboratory. He covered his nose because of the awful smell inside. He noticed a corpse of a juvenile creature that died a long time ago. He found scattered documents on the ground and picked it up, only to find that humans can grow rune crystals too. These two were extreme creations. Domain creatures melt crystals while humans are giving birth to it. He deduced that the domain creatures were the dark side of the world. He remembered the Tongtian painting from before and realized that it depicts the dark. He tried to search for more data to prove his point, but found Zio inside. He wondered if he heard the white pupils before. He then realized that Suki was man-made. He deduced that it was the Scarlet Institution because Suki was similar to Aqua, because Aqua was their only successful test subject, but after that they succeeded again by having Suki. The system asked who created Zio and why he was chasing him, but Finn found nothing. He was terrified by the thought that Zio was created just for him.